everyone, it's Tarrant.
And Stella from Meeple University. Welcome to our top 10 new things to us for January 2023. We talk about this slightly on our top 10 new things that we like on our video Great Western Trail Argentina compared to the previous versions of Great Western Trail. So here we are. We're going to share you the top 10 games, well actually 5 for me, 5 for you, of new games to us that we played in January 2023.
Yeah, so we hope to bring this to you each month. Really, it is, as I say, it's new to us. Some of these are brand new prototypes that aren't going to hit the market for a year perhaps. Some of them may be old games that we've only just come across, and some of them may actually be brand new in the month in question. Some of them as well, we'll just say we may have received them through paid work. Some of them we may not have, but ultimately this is our opinion on the games we liked or thought were worth talking about.
Yep, and advanced review copy or whatever else that it comes our way.
Yes.
So
we've got 5 each.
Yeah, we've got
we'll
5
go back
each.
and forward.
Mm-hmm.
So my number 5 is a game called Ecosphere Rewilding the World. This is one that you did a short and sweet on, so we had this as a prototype. And it's interesting. It's a cooperative deck building, deck optimization game. And it kind of stood out as being a bit different. Most cooperative deck builders I've seen, they're like battle games, the Marvel Legendary type of thing. This one was it felt kind of like a classic Klondike Solitaire sort of thing. I don't know why it connected like that to me, but really you're trying to make sets of cards to buy one layer of cards and then set them together to buy the next one and then set them together to get the next thing. And if you got bad combinations that came up, it was going to progress you down a bad track. And I really felt it had this nice flow of deck optimization, growing it up and growing it down and getting little bonuses, and it just didn't quite feel like any other cooperative deck builder that I'd played. So yeah, I really enjoyed that as an early prototype and look forward to that one coming out.
That one is spoiler. It's not going to be on my list, but it's really close, so I'm going to hitch on that. I also really enjoy that game. But we have to pick 5. My number 5 is Animals Gathering. This is an early prototype that I received from Wonderful World Board Games in Taiwan. This is a family game. It's almost a gateway game where you roll dice and you get the pieces to complete your set. But then as a passive player, you also receive the piece that the active player couldn't get, the resources that they roll that couldn't get and put in their animal pieces, then it goes to the inactive player. So it's kind of like has got that space-based feeling, which I really like downtime is really good. It has that fun moment when you play, whether it's 2 players or 5 players, and it plays slightly differently in 5 players, but you're waiting for this active player rolling like, oh, what do you roll? Anything for us, like, yeah, we got this species. It's really fun. It is language independent, and what are the smart things about it is that you collect animal cards and you need to roll the dice, and the dice will tell you what pieces you get to complete that animal cards, and the number of dice also depending on how many incomplete cards you have. So there are 6 dice, and if you have say 1 incomplete card, then you roll only 5. You have 2 incomplete cards, you roll only 4. So that's really smart game. We really enjoy playing this game, whether, as I say, 2 or maximum 5 players.
Yeah, it's a very clever mechanism to build into what is fundamentally a dice chucker.
Yeah. To
mean that you open your options for taking things, but you get less dice. You narrow your choices, you're more likely to give other players things. It's a really clever, really clever. All right, both of us have the same number 4.
Yeah.
Which is this one here, the Border.
Yeah.
So this is from last year, I believe.
Yeah,
Bit of an slightly older one.
Slightly sadly, it's been waiting on our shelves for a bit from last year.
Yep.
earlier last year, and then we just couldn't find the time to play it. And there's so many good games this year, last year, and so on. And this is by Michael Kiesling, which is, or this is one of the designers, I should say.
Yep, Reinhard Stahlper is the other.
Thank you, Tarrant. And Michaels has been designing a lot of great games, such as Azul, Cell Stained Glass, Queen's Garden, Chocolate, and so on, and other games as well, all the Azuls.
Other games that aren't Azul.
Yeah, aren't game, yeah. So the border is a roll and write game, which, funnily enough, it resembles a little bit like Animals Gathering that I said. So as inactive players, you get to get something potentially.
Yeah, it's a very simple and very dry looking game. But it had a little extra that no other roll and writes I've played really had. It was a little bit like, it was probably most like the Copenhagen roll and write. Perhaps a little...
Which you love.
Which I do really enjoy. Because the active player gets a Yahtzee roll to try to get enough of one colour to close off an area on their border. While the inactive player doesn't have to completely fill a region. They get whatever's left over, but don't have to completely fill. And that means they can slowly start working the bits that need to be filled down. And it makes for quite a clever game.
Very clever.
It is still a bit dry. Maybe it runs on a bit long. But it stood out because it just... For something quite simple, it felt a little bit innovative to me.
It's very, yeah. At first, okay, if you're the active player, you need to, what again? You must use the dice to complete an area, otherwise you can't use it. So there's that push your luck element as well, whether you want to just, okay, reach for the sun or end up in dirt. I always say what you said there before. Yes. And then there's asymmetric as well. Asymmetric boards on all of the player boards, so slightly different colors, and then trying to enclose an area.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is the border. A
both
surprising success, I think.
Yeah, and then the people that we play this also enjoy it.
Yes.
It plays up to 4 players, so we have played 4 players as well. It's great. So that downtime, the inactive players will get something out of the active players then.
My number 3 is Canvas. This is a game that's been out for quite some time. We'd never owned it. We'd never gotten around to playing it, but we played it at a party. And maybe I went in with low expectations. I'd always sort of been told it was a really simple, it had the pretty transparent cards, but it was just kind of a simple set collecting game, and maybe that gave me low expectations of it. But it really played as quite a nice game. It had that what's it called, the century mechanism in terms of using the money becomes how much you've got to go for the card that you really want, and that's always kind of a nice mechanism. And then you add to that the layering of the cards on top of each other to try to meet the objectives. So it's for a gentle game, it is really good. It really hits what it's trying to do, and then the pictures that you are making are a lot of fun.
I know, that was like you have to create it.
Yeah, we also made a house rule where we voted on the picture that we liked the most, and they got some extra points.
That was really fun. It's definitely a fun game. And the transparent is not just a gimmick, it's actually part of the mechanics. And yeah, the things that you create, like, wow, look at that. It was a really fun little game.
Yeah.
My number 3 is actually a prototype called Star Tycoon. They're going on a Kickstarter very shortly, I think. I love it because it's an engine building game that left you feel, oh, I could have done that. Oh no, I should have done that. And it's got great puzzles. So you basically got a planet, and then you draft a card from the common area, and then you got planet cards as the main cards, and then you put other building cards where you actually produce every round, and you can only hold so many resources, including money, and you gotta have to puzzle out your moves so that you get enough the cards that you want because they all cost resources or money to get into your tableau. And another clever bit of it is that there's this like trade market board.
It's got a little economy board.
Economy board, thank you, where you can exchange only one thing in your turn. So either sell or buy.
For each of the 5 resources.
Correct, thank you, Tarrant. That makes it really tight and really, I think it's something different, and combine them together, it makes it like that puzzle is really good.
Yeah, because the price will vary based on what people are doing. So if you pay...
That's right.
Yeah, it could get to the point where it costs you 4 coins for a single one of that resource. Or you could get 4 of that resource for 1 coin. And that can have a big influence on meeting whether you can actually buy what you want and whether you're going to have a whole lot of excess stuff at the end of the turn.
You have to discard. So that's Tycoon. I have done or will do short and sweet video, so watch out for it.
My number 2 is another prototype, and it's not the sort of prototype it's not the sort of game that we normally play or even really do content on. It's, don't have a box, I've just got the cards. It's a game called The Score, and it is fundamentally a guided improv.
Storyline.
Yeah.
Storytelling, I should say.
Yeah, so players will sit around, the cards give them... It's basically you're going to be telling a story about a heist, and the cards give you guidance on what you're going to steal and whence you're going to steal it. And then you'll get cards dealt out again, and that will tell you what your special traits are as a thief, what you're good at. And then you just go and tell the story, and when a card comes out, you explain how that trait worked well for you or how the enemies use that trait against you. The story guides you from things going well to things going badly and back to well. And it's just fun. I think...
It's cooperative, by the way.
Yeah, it's a storytelling game ultimately. Yeah. It's effectively a role-playing... It's kind of a role-playing game in that way, but there's no stats, there's no game master. It's just everyone sitting around telling a story, and I enjoyed it.
I actually also enjoy it because almost at the same time I actually did my improv class, my first improv class, and it was like, yes, I've got opportunity. It's not really acting, but it's still a little bit part of it. That was quite fun, and this is by Australian designer and publisher, by the way.
Yes, Steve D, who does a lot of RPG and storytelling sort of work.
Yeah, so it's coming out soon.
Yes.
My number 2 is Bamboo. So this is the second in the Kamushi Saga series. I think Kamushi Saga series. The first one was Bitaku by Devi Games. This is a game that is beautiful. I do like the art, firstly, if you can see here. It plays 2 to 4 players. It's got some personal puzzle that I enjoy. So the uniqueness of it is that, it's got a bit of a bidding, but it's not like free for everyone, like use all your money or as little as possible. So it's got restricted bidding. And it has the actions are quite simple. There are 4 different actions in there. Yeah, we've got an action marker. We choose a temple, one of 4 temples, and then we do the actions by putting the bamboo to the main board and then sliding it onto, out of the main board, and then you get it. So you have to plan ahead a little bit what actions you want to do. Of course, the wild action is preferable. Yep. And then there's this bid action, and there's this ongoing engine build of the card that you win from the bid. Yep. And on top of that, there's also tiles that you put on your home, and it actually kind of like contract fulfillment game. You draft the card, and you also need to draft the things that give you the points. So it's like balancing your harmony, type of harmony in your home. I found that personal puzzle is quite fun. It is it's quite individual multiplayer, which I think I prefer that more than Tarrant. But yeah, I think that's just awesome bamboo components. It's soothing theme, but yet just a bit of personal puzzle.
No, I think that covers it. It is ultimately a tile placement and tile, making a tile placement scoring out of it.
Yep.
little bits of engine building in there as well.
I think the action selection of the bamboo is quite cute.
A big part is the action selection. That's what the hook for this game is.
That's right. And that's bamboo.
And number one for both of us was Great Western Trail Argentina.
Yep.
Really enjoyed this. Really enjoyed the new things it brought to the game. And I'd have to say I wasn't, when I knew there were going to be 3 Great Western Trails coming out,
You weren't.
I wasn't
sure.
Wasn't that keen to pick it up and play it again necessarily. Like, play a
The
whole
old one
big
is
Euro
fine.
for some sort of small variation, but this added variations which were both subtle and had a lot of impact on how the game played. And I remember Maracaibo did that pretty well also. You only had to draw a couple of new cards through that story scenario that it had, and it just changed the placements on the board ever so slightly, but gave you these extra focal points that really changed the way the game felt.
So if you're interested to find out more of the differences, as I said and hint earlier, we had that top 10 things that we find interesting and we like, the differences in this version of Great Western Trail, so the Argentina version. Like things like ship, you like the hazard tiles is now something else, and you can recruit that into your board. There's 4 workers, and so on.
Yeah, I think what I liked, it really added some new competitive elements that the first game didn't have, like ultra competitive elements where it was first come, first served on some high scoring spaces, and it added some real timing to it as well. I always like timing in games, and what this did, it gave you an option to use your train to shorten the loop.
I was going to say that too. That was so cool.
Yeah, that really made for some nice decisions.
You don't need to go all the way up to deliver your stock, and you can just go halfway even the board and then deliver it.
If you take a shortcut with your train,
Yeah.
yes. So both of us really enjoyed Great Western Trail Argentina.
And the original one as well.
Yeah. This was our top release for January.
What I probably enjoy more now of this one is the engine build, that the hazard tile that you can actually recruit as the 4th tile. That would be for engine build as extra resource in the game.
Yes.
And that's really good. So that's
Very
it.
good.
Those are our top 10, 5 each,
Yep.
overlapping at some. What are your January highlights? I mean, this is already sort of like February, so we're gonna hopefully do the next one for February as well.
It takes us time to compile.
I know, I was like, oh, which one? And Tarrant usually kind of like indecisive more than me, maybe.
I'm not indecisive, I just like to
so
put
many
more
games.
thought to it.
Of course.
More of a connoisseur. than
Connoisseur,
indecisive.
that's it. Ooh, ice cream. Sorry, when you say connoisseur, we got this connoisseur ice cream in Australia that is really good, feels really rich. And I tend to get it because it's also quite expensive. I tend to get it when it's kind of like, ooh, on special. That's it. Look it up, connoisseur. That's it. That's all this. Please let us know. Please share me your top list in January, what you played, maybe you saw, maybe the things that you're excited about that you haven't played. Or maybe if you like connoisseur ice creams. And that's it. If you hopefully you enjoy it. If you do, please hit the like button. That will really help us. And subscribe to us. You do the thing as usual, the bell thing for notification and so on. I'm also on Instagram. Find me there as well. And hopefully we'll see you next time. Bye.
Right.